Hey, what's up, family? Welcome to another episode of Gavin Richard Presents. I'm Gavin Richard, attorney at law. Sorry about that. Somebody sent me a message. I was just checking it right quick. Okay. Let's see. Can everybody hear me? Yeah, I think y'all can hear me. Yeah. At any rate, I wanted to talk about something that I saw recently on this past week. A lot had been going on. It was about the interview that took place, or rather the deposition and ambush of Dr. Umar Johnson on Roland the Owl Martin, Roly-Poly Martin, his show News One Now on TV1 with that panel, which was, it was like the Wolf Pack when I was watching it. Let me just say for the record, I am not a person that prescribes or subscribes to everything Umar Johnson has said. However, I will listen to him, and there are things he says I agree with. In particular, when I was watching the interview, when he brought up the aspect of, having a black-owned school, which is something that he's trying to do. I do know there were issues about the monies because there's been over $700,000 that has been raised for him to purchase a school, and he's made these dates saying that it was going to happen in 2018, 2019. He said that before. I believe he was trying to set up a school, but I don't know if he had all of the money just yet at that time. But people have raised money, and people were asking questions about it, and I don't have a problem with that. They did have a right. If you spend money and you give money to somebody, you would like to know where that money is going. I believe in that wholeheartedly. I didn't have questions with that. Maybe Umar could have handled that better, how he's handled it in the last few years. But nevertheless, what I didn't like and what I found from the interview, I keep calling it an interview, with that ambush, was one of the most unprofessional things I've seen, from the name calling to the disrespect that was shown by interrupting while the panelists interrupted Umar when he kept trying to speak. When you have someone call another person a liar and the moderator didn't check that person, which he tried to tell me on Twitter, and I'm going to get into that in a little bit, that wasn't his job. I'll get into that in a second. But it was just completely unprofessional, especially from TV1, who I've watched in the past, and I admire Miss Kathy Hughes for the things that she's done. But, you always associate TV1 with, with the, black middle class, because they market themselves, in almost, I don't want to say, like a bourgeoisie. That's kind of what Roland Martin is. But they very classy. It's not like you're watching BT where you'll see ratchetness or anything like that per se. But BT is not owned by blacks anymore. It's owned by whites. As is Essence Magazine is owned by Time Warner. As is Ebony Magazine is owned by J.P. Morgan and Chase. The Root is owned by someone who is non-black. I believe the Griot, I believe Byron Allen did buy that, but the Griot was a part of the NBC Universal family, which is not owned by blacks, but nevertheless, they are marketed towards and promoting an agenda. And clearly, when I read the Root, and especially the way that they were talking about Umar Johnson, they started off in the article talking about how they don't really have an agenda against Dr. Umar, but if you listen to it and read it, you can tell by the tone that they clearly do not like Umar Johnson on the things he says, and it's clearly an agenda where violates every media ethical standard I could think of, because I feel media should be the most unbiased form of speech here in the United States, but they're corporations and they're bought off and they push and promote bullshit. But getting to this interview, as I stated, when they were talking about Umar, and they were asking him all of these questions, and which is why I called it a deposition more than an interview. They were asking his credentials and, how much money he's raised for his school, where he graduated from, this and that, his relationship with Frederick Douglass, and he broke down every detail, how he's related through a cousin of Frederick Douglass, or possibly even Frederick Douglass being a great uncle, and he gave the family tree that he had, and he didn't stutter or overstep his bounds. He didn't look like he was scared of any questions that Roland and his panel brought to him. He answered them, fair and flat out, even though he was not allowed to basically respond to any questions. He kept getting interrupted, and I'm about to get to that. And, when it came to his position on interracial marriages, I believe people are going to marry who they want. I don't have an issue with that. But I don't see what the problem is of a black man saying he is committed to a black woman, which is what essentially Umar was saying. You cannot, and even the attorney that was there, he was saying himself how his mother told him that you can't talk black but sleep white. And they've had that issue for a long, long time. And Umar's comments, while people may not agree with his position on criticizing, blacks who marry whites, I do know that there are black people who do marry whites not because they love them, but because they feel like it's some sort of token. There are some people who, look at the athletes that you may see. You look at someone like Tiger Woods, who's called Melanesian. He never identified or never wanted to be black. And he married a nanny who beat the hell out of him, took all of his money after he got busted cheating, and he hasn't even been able to do a par for the course yet. He's been having he's been, ever since that divorce settlement, he hasn't been the same. And if you go back to that incident, he was the one that was attacked, not the woman. But who was the one that got punished and lost his endorsements? It was Tiger. And he even got in trouble with the law with this DUI thing, which if that was any other celebrity, a white celebrity, without question, I think they would have let him go. It wasn't that serious. But staying on topic, I think it's given the problems that the black community has today, the black family unit has been under attack. When you look at the fact that 74% of black homes are fatherless or raised in single-parent homes. When I look at and I believe those statistics come from, I believe it's Ryan Bromberger. He stated that he was for the pro-black life. I can't think of the name, but you can look that up, on the internet and find those statistics. You can look at, I think the United Census Bureau may have them. I believe it's the National Pro-Black Life may have those statistics as well. But it's no secret that clearly from 40-year difference, you'll see a two-parent family home now has gone to a single-parent family home, and that's the standard model here in the United States. You see that I was personally asked on several occasions, and I'm 30 years old. I remember being in law school, people asking me, do you have parents? I was like, well, yeah, I have parents. It's like, oh, are they still together? They would ask questions like that because today they expect people to be separated, I think, and that's a mindset that's being pushed in the culture. So there was nothing wrong, I believe, and there is nothing wrong if a black man wants to stay committed to someone of his preference, of his color. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's his preference. Just like my preference, I like black women too. That's who I date primarily. Now, I've been attracted to women of all colors and backgrounds, but I particularly love black women. That's me. I look cockeyed right there. I'm trying to look directly in the camera. No, yeah. But to get back to it, then you have these panelists. They were questioning Umar. The one sister, Laura, who looked like she was, with that dried up Jerry curl she had, she looked like she was an extra that missed the casting call 2 years back for Straight Outta Compton. She was very loud and abrasive, calling Umar out about that, and even, talking about how can you say white folks have never done anything, and she was tap dancing it up. And then you had the butler sitting next to her who called her a liar, which is what called Umar a liar, which is what I found more offensive. And I was more offended at the fact that right then and there, Roland Martin didn't check the dude for calling Dr. Umar out of his name. As the moderator of the show, if you're going to call Umar out, and Umar called him a coon, the guy coon, I get it that you don't want to hear that type of language on a black network. But if you're doing a debate, then you need to be fair to everybody and say that this is not, no name calling by any person is going to be tolerated. And Roland didn't do that. And Roland, he had the bug eyes, and, I don't allow any use of the N-word, and I don't allow the racial epithet of coon being heard. Not on this show. Not on this show. No black person's going to do that, And, but Umar stood his ground, and he checked Roland Martin when Roland was trying to get him to talk. He said, I'm talking. He saw the alpha male come out of Umar Johnson. The only person on the panel who was civil was the attorney, who was understanding everything Umar was saying, because he said his mother said the same thing. You can't sleep white but talk black. And that's what I think Umar's position was. When he talked about Frederick Douglass, he criticized Frederick Douglass for marrying a white woman, but he put it in context as well that he was married to this black woman who died before he died, and he subsequently remarried several years after the fact. This woman actually gave birth to all of his children. They had been together through slavery, and she understood the place where Frederick Douglass came from. So when you have people that are angry and upset and being loud, you normally can't get anything productive out of this conversation and discussion. And TV One did a piss poor job. Roland Martin did a piss poor job of that. I don't really care. I've met Roland once. I don't really care for him per se. I don't wish anything bad, but he was a bit of a jerk, and he was a jerk on the Twitter feed because I actually mentioned about what happened and how I was disappointed, and he mentioned me back and was calling me out saying, nice try. We didn't try to ambush him, but Dr. Umar, I want to give everybody a chance to talk, and I've been called a liar before. Stop whining and stuff. I said, well, that doesn't make it right, and the fact is everybody on that show, even those who don't like Umar, said it was an ambush. They didn't like the way the questions were. So you went in there trying to do a hit piece, and you ended up doing a promo basically for Dr. Umar Johnson because he looked far better than what those other panelists looked on your show, at least those two. And speaking of credentials, what are the credentials of those two panelists that they are given a national platform? Like, what? One sister, she writes, she's a member of Black Twitter. The other dude, he's a black Republican. Okay. And you notice, brothers, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, if you watch these shows now, I don't care if you're watching CNN or Fox, it's always set up where they'll have somebody that takes the pro-black argument, then they'll have another person who's the anti-black argument. They'll probably have maybe two homosexuals on there. They may have a white female, liberal female, and and even I think finally a white Republican who, is pro-guns and, anti-affirmative action, even though affirmative action benefits white women now more than it does black men and the black community in particular. It's set up that way, and I see that in that panel. When I watch media, when I watch a show, I shouldn't know or expect to know what's going to be the first thing out of a person's mouth. And that just tells you the state of media in this country, which is supposed to be the freest form and the most unbiased form of speech in the United States, and is clearly bought and paid for, which is what you saw on that network on Monday. And I was just very disappointed in TV One and Roland Martin. I think he's a bit of he's become the Black Bill O'Reilly, the king of ascots. I just, I'm still thinking of when Tariq Nasheed did that owl with Jerry Curl here. Yip, yip, yip. Welcome to TV One. Yip, yip. Boule bird roll it. Yip, 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 yip. I'm sorry, man. I'm not trying to take away from Tariq, but that was funny. But no, but that's what we expect and what we're getting out of television now. There's no fairness, there's no equality in it, and it was evident. But even if you don't agree with Dr. Umar, it's just like what Jeremiah Wright said when they were talking about Minister Farrakhan. They asked him a question. He said Farrakhan was Scott Fitzgerald, in that black people may not agree with him, but black people listen to him. And black people, especially the younger generation here in the United States, we listen to Dr. Umar. We're going to listen to Minister Farrakhan. If they got something positive to say and if the message is good, I'm going to listen to what he has to say. I don't have to subscribe to everything he says, and I'm not going to find common ground on everything he discussed. Even Dr. Watkins, who I'm a fan of and admirer of, he does not really have any connection with Umar Johnson. And he even said at one point, he did a video where he said he was done with him, but he came back and he watched the interview and he thought the interview on TV1 was a hit piece in an ambush, and he actually defended Umar. Anything you watch now on television is propaganda. When you're watching movies, it's propaganda. They're always trying to push a message, and most of the time it's a neoliberal, pro-feminist, pro-homosexual message that they all have in that. In most of your movies and TV shows, I saw the Planet of the Apes, and I'm gonna get into another video about that and the subliminal messages I saw in that movie. But when you look at news media and networks and television reporting, you're finding out that it's basically geared to one perspective that they are trying to get you to take. And TV1 did that. And, I personally will not watch News One now. I saw Roland Martin complaining about how people weren't watching the show when they were talking about black home ownership because they knew it was full of shit, man. Y'all just did a bad job. You left a bad taste in people's mouth. If I don't want to watch something when you do that to one person, I wouldn't damn sure want to sit and watch you do it again and again when another person comes on your show and they disagree with you. So I don't really, so clearly I've lost a lot of respect, if any I had for Roland, especially after he was tap dancing with Hillary Clinton. It looked like, it looked like Bojangles and Shirley Temple Black together. That was, that was terrible. When you have somebody of power who is running for president, and I know he asks questions, but I wouldn't want to be dancing with somebody like that. I would want something serious to come out of the conversation, especially after the way she addressed our young black men by including myself, calling us super predators. So, and the fact that her husband and their family, they signed that 3 strikes law that hurt black people. And let me end on this. Do you all think, on this question, had that interview been done with Hillary Clinton and that panel and Roland Martin come at him at Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama, former President Obama, or any other dignitary, let me just stick to Hillary Clinton, excuse me. Do you honestly think they would have a job? I don't think so. Anyway, that's it for me. This is Gavin Richard Presents. If you guys didn't like what I said, oh well. But I respect your beliefs and opinions. Just respect mine. Please feel free to comment. You all be safe and God bless on this Sunday evening. Peace out.